Hi, I'm Gail Sokol, and welcome to my kitchen. I'm very excited about starting my new video series in my new kitchen, so I can't wait to get started. Today we're going to make an heirloom tomato tart, and we're going to start with the crust, which is really nice and flaky. So it all starts in a food processor, so it's really easy to do. So I'm taking 1 cup of all-purpose flour, and I'm going to put it right in there. Half a cup of whole wheat flour. If you don't like the whole wheat flour, just use another half a cup of all-purpose, but it really gives a nice nutty flavor to it. And 1/4 cup of cornmeal. Yeah, cornmeal actually gives a nice crunch to that crust. And 1/2 teaspoon of kosher salt. I'm putting it in there. And I'm just going to whirl it around just to mix it. Because nobody wants to bite into it like a salty piece. So once I've had that done, I'm going to take 4 ounces of cream cheese that I have cubed and I've left chilled. This just came from the refrigerator. And 4 tablespoons of cubed butter. And I'm going to put that in here. This is very similar. If you've made a pie, you know this is like the flaky pie crust method. And I'm taking 1.5 tablespoons, this is my secret, lemon juice, fresh lemon juice. And that will actually help our dough roll out better. It actually denatures the proteins in the flour, and it's wonderful. So now we're going to pulse it until the butter and cream cheese make clumps with the flour and other ingredients. You don't want to overdo it. Remember, this is a machine. It actually causes friction and heat, and we don't want to melt our butter. So we have nice little chunks of butter. So you can see they're smaller than they were before, and that's exactly what we want. Now, 3.5 tablespoons of ice water. Notice I have icy water right here. You don't want to just take it from the tap. Make ice water first. 1, 2, 3, and I'll half of this, and that's going to be perfect. And now we're going to pulse it until it comes together in bigger clumps, almost a ball. All right, now it does not look like a crust yet. Don't worry. So watch this. This is when people get very nervous and they start really squeezing their dough and kneading it. It doesn't look like a dough at all, but watch, it's going to come together. That's why I'm putting it in the bowl. Some people don't do this, but this is my little trick. And then I'm just going to squeeze it together and form a dough. It's nice and moist because of that cream cheese and that butter. And the ice water, remember, gluten forms when wheat flour mixes with water, and we don't want to overdevelop the gluten because we really want a nice flaky tender crust. See, there you have it. So I'm just going to put it right into my plastic wrap. I'm going to wrap it up. Now, because we have sort of mixed it around a little bit and shown it what's what, we want to let it relax a little bit. So I'm just going to push it down after I wrap it so I don't overhandle it, and I'm going to give it a 20-minute rest in the fridge. So our dough is chilling for 20 minutes to allow the gluten to relax, which will make it easier to roll out. And now we're going to start on our filling and our lovely heirloom tomato topping. So I have some beautiful tomatoes. I have orange, yellow, reds, and all you need is about 1 pound of tomatoes, and that's like 2 big ones, and these are really big. So I would take a combination. So let's get a nice orange one, and I've already washed these. And I'm going to get a nice big red one, all right, each one of each. And then I'm going to take a few little ones. So we'll take a little baby one and some cherries because I like a combination. It'll make it look really pretty. So you want to remove all your stems. And your big ones, you want to cut that core out. So I usually use a serrated knife or a tomato knife, or even a small bread knife would work in a pinch. I've done that too. And just take that core out. And I'm going to just do the same for the red one. And these are nice and juicy. So what we want to do is we want to slice them into 1/4 inch thick slices and salt them very lightly to draw out the water. Remember osmosis from science class? Well, there's a lot of science in cooking and baking. So I'm just going to slice, quarter of an inch, nice big slices, because this is our piece de resistance. This is how we're going to really show off our heirloom tomato tart. And keep going. Sometimes I eat this one. And just lay them down. Oh, it's so good. Very juicy and sweet. The same with the orange. Look how beautiful those slices are. That's what you want to highlight on your tart. And if you don't slice perfectly, don't worry about it. Nobody's going to come and do anything. So just get your tomatoes out. And these little ones, I just slice them in half. No need to core or do anything, but you just want the variety. The little grape tomatoes, because they're more oval. And then this little guy, he's beautiful. I'm just going to cut him maybe into quarters. And you'll see that's going to be enough. So we're just going to spread it out on our sheet pan. I have 1/4 teaspoon of kosher salt, and this is what's going to draw the water out. So you're just going to lightly salt. And make sure you do this on a paper towel lined sheet pan. And you're just going to leave it for about 20 minutes. That's all you're going to do. It also flavors the tomatoes a little bit, but you might see them looking like they're perspiring a little bit. And that's fine, because you're drawing that water out. All right, so now we're going to get our 2 fillings ready to go. And the fillings are beautiful. I'm going to go grab a paper towel to get my juicy tomato juices off. These are beautiful. And I'm going to have a mozzarella filling. There's like 4 cheeses in here. So let's do our mozzarella filling first. So I have 2 cups of shredded mozzarella already in this bowl. And I've just purchased shredded mozzarella. Don't use fresh mozzarella. I don't like the way it melts in this. And then I have 1/3 cup of shredded Parmesan. Don't use grated, shredded. You can do it yourself if you want to. But again, I just purchased it. 1/4 cup of Kalamata olives, my secret. A little salty, really gives a nice flavor to this filling. 1/4 cup. 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder. Just garlic powder, not garlic salt, garlic powder. 1½ teaspoons Italian seasoning, dried Italian seasoning, get it right in there. This is 1/2 teaspoon of freshly ground black pepper. If you really want it finely ground, I would do that so people don't choke. And 1/4 teaspoon of kosher salt. Get that in there. And 1/4 cup of fresh basil. And I want to show you how to slice basil and do it the right way. A lot of people know how to do it. You really want to do it while it's dry. So I washed these earlier and dried them. And now I'm just going to stack them like I'm stacking some pieces of paper. And the little ones you can just put on top. And then I'm going to roll them. See, I'm sort of rolling them up real tight, but you don't want to bruise them. And you take your chef's knife, your big knife, and you hold it real tight. And then use your other hand, your non-dominant hand, to guide the knife and just make little tiny slices. This is known as chiffonading the basil. And you'll see what beautiful little strips it turns out to be afterwards. Look at that. Aren't they beautiful? They're lovely. And we're going to garnish our heirloom tomato tart afterwards with fresh basil as well. So I'm going to go around one more time the other way and just give it a good chop, because I don't want long shards or long shreds. I want them a little more finely chopped. But don't overdo it, because you'll bruise them. And I'm going to put them right in there. And that is our mozzarella parm filling. And so we're going to just mix that up, and we're going to set that aside. Now we need to make our ricotta filling. I just thought, I made this tart so many different times and I was experimenting all different ways. And I said, you know what, it really needs ricotta. The ricotta makes it so creamy. It's almost like it's a full meal. That's what it really is. So I have 1 cup of whole milk ricotta. Don't skimp here. All right, don't use skim milk ricotta or fat-free ricotta. 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. I know that sounds really, really weird, but it will actually suck up some of the whey that sort of gets out of the ricotta so we don't have a wet filling, because a wet filling makes a soggy crust. Remember that. Another 1/4 cup of these lovely sliced Kalamata olives. 1/4 teaspoon of kosher salt. And another 1½ teaspoons of Italian seasoning. It's wonderful in here. And again, fresh basil. So we're going to slice this up again just like we did for our mozzarella filling. We rolled it up. I sort of pre-stacked those. And I'm just going to slice them. And you really want to slice them right before you use them. Because again, they don't keep really well once they're sliced. They will oxidize and get dark. You'll notice a very dark color. And you're just going to get that right in there. Okay? Now you mix this up and you have your fillings, but you want to make sure that you get all that flour incorporated. And it will be a dry filling, which is fine. That's what we want. We don't want any sogginess to our crust. Can't wait till you try this. There's so much flavor because every layer of the fillings have so much flavor. The crust has flavor, and the tomatoes are so fabulous. All right, we're ready to roll out our crust now. Gonna go get it. So we let our dough rest for 20 minutes. And I've also done this too. I shouldn't be telling you this, but if you don't have 20 minutes, just roll it out afterwards. Don't worry about it. It may be a little bit stickier, but allowing it to rest will make it a lot easier. You can even freeze this dough just the way it is. Just date it, label it, and freeze it for 2 or 3 months until you say, you know what, I want heirloom tomato tart. And then just thaw it out in your fridge. So we're gonna take it out of the plastic wrap, and it feels really nice. It's a little on the softer side because of the cream cheese, but that's fine. That's exactly what we want. And you really want to flour up your surface, your work surface. I have a marble slab that I like to use because it stays cool, but you can use whatever you want. And I like a French rolling pin. I like a rolling pin that sort of tapers down the sides. That's my favorite. Make sure you flour on top of here. All right, make sure you flour on top. And I just sort of roll my rolling pin in a little bit of the flour, and I'm starting to roll. This actually helps work your abs, believe it or not. You got to do something with all the cream cheese and butter, right? So I'm going to try to get to a 12 to 14 inch circle with this particular dough. Now, watch what I'm doing, because a lot of people, I've seen a lot of students that I've had, they'll get some really funky shapes when they roll out their crust. So after a few rolls, rotate it about 1/4 of a turn, so 45 degrees, and just shush a little flour underneath if it's getting dry, and just roll, and then rotate 45 degrees. Roll and rotate. And it keeps the crust loose, so you always know you can get it off the work surface or the whatever you're rolling it out on. All right, and you can see it's round. It doesn't look like the state of Texas. It doesn't look like, a weird looking shape. And you don't have to make it round. You can make, if you have a long sheet pan, you can actually make this freeform tart in an oval shape if you wanted to. You can make it in a heart shape if you wanted. So I'm going to keep going. I'm almost there. Don't get too crazy and make it too thin, because then you're going to lose your filling. Your filling is this is heavy duty filling. All right, we're not messing around with this crust and with this tart. We mean business with 4 cheeses. All right, so we're just about there. All right, and I'm making sure I can move it. Can I move it? Yes. All right, so it can be moved. And at this point, I'm going to take my ricotta filling first. All right. And I'm going to put it in the center. Doesn't that look beautiful? With the little flecks of basil and the olive. I love it. And then I'm going to take an offset spatula. This is an offset spatula, or known as a palette knife if it was straight, because I use it to frost cakes. But it's great for spreading anything as well. It's got a little kink in it. That's what is known as offset. So I'm going to get all my filling, because I don't want to waste a drop of this beautiful stuff. And I'm just going to spread it. Don't rip your crust, so make sure you don't touch your crust. And you're going to leave about a 1.5 inch border that is not ricotted. Okay, don't ricotta the border. You want to keep it sort of free. Okay. There you have it. And now I spread my beautiful mozzarella filling. That beautiful basil. And it seems like a lot of filling. Don't not use it all. You have to use it all. So just spread it around. When I first made this, I said, oh, I think I really have to cut back on the filling. And no, don't cut back on the filling. You will love this. It is so stuffed with cheeses and loveliness. You don't do it. Leave it the way it is. All right, I'm going to get the rest on here. Okay. Now we bring our tomatoes. Now, these are the stars of the show. If you notice, they're glistening from the water that is being pulled from them by that salt. And you're just going to take them, all right? And sometimes I just wipe them down on the paper towel, and you're just going to arrange them. So I like to take an orange one and a red one and then another orange one, and just go around. Do whatever you want to do. Make it pretty. Involve your kids, because this is a fun thing to do. You can use all cherry tomatoes if you wanted to. You can use whatever you want. So I'm taking my bigger slices. Look how pretty that looks. Isn't that gorgeous? This one I didn't cut that one so well, but that's okay. I'll stick it in here. No one will notice. And then in the middle, I'm going to take an orange one. And then I'm going to take some of my little baby ones, my little halves, and just stick them around the edges. And they all bake together. They're going to look beautiful. They're going to look beautiful. And don't overstuff it. So here you can say, all right, I have enough. No more. No more, Chef Gail. Put it down. All right. Even I have to say that. Now we're going to take our outside edge, our border, and we're going to make a crust out of it. So we're going to roll it up. Not roll it up, but actually sort of tuck it. And if it's a little floury, just leave it. It gives it that rustic look. This is a very rustic tart, very easy. Great as an appetizer, a light dinner, lunch. It's wonderful. Great with appetizers or a glass of wine or any type of beverage. And then I just sort of push it in here. See what I'm pushing, pushing, pushing. Push down on all that filling. And now I'm going to take either a false bottom tart pan bottom, or I have a special little thing that I like to use, and you can buy these anywhere. And I'm going to take a pizza pan, 12 to 14 inch pizza pan, all right? And I'm going to cover it with parchment paper because it makes it a lot easier to slide off. And then I'm just going to shush under it, and I'm going to take it and then just gradually take it and put it on top of there. Now, before I put it into the oven, I like to drizzle 2 tablespoons of olive oil over the entire tart. So I'm just going to drizzle. Just drizzle over the tomato and the actual crust as well. Just drizzle it. Use all 2 tablespoons. Don't use any more because it'll be a little too oily. This just adds some nice color, and it helps the tomatoes shine. There you go. And then you're going to put this in the oven. I just want to wash my hands off real fast so I don't get cheese and crust all over my oven. Now you're going to put this in a 400-degree oven. So you want to preheat that as you know, ahead if you can, for about 20 to 25 minutes, but go by color. So you want to see golden brown on the crust, and the tomato filling will be bubbly. Okay, so our tomato tart came out of the oven, and it's gorgeous. And it smells basil-y and tomatoey and cheesy and yummy, but it's still not done. So I'm going to take another 1/4 cup of fresh basil. I pile the leaves up like we did before, and I'm going to chiffonade this. And this time I'm not going to overly cut it. I'm going to leave it in those long, beautiful shreds. And I'm going to top it. And that's the way you would serve it. So these beautiful, beautiful shreds. Just going to come over and just look how pretty that looks. The green, the orange, the red, the beautiful brown, beautiful golden color from the crust. It's lovely. And it just so fragrant with these 4 cheeses in here. Thank you for joining me today. I had so much fun making this heirloom tomato tart with you. Please visit me at gailsokol.com. Until next time.